Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Purple Penny coin news video. Obviously we're in a different location today because of the lockdown that was announced in Adelaide yesterday, so I'm down the back of our house on our slightly dodgy wireless internet, so hopefully this all goes smoothly. I guess the last week for us has been all about sending out firefighter rolls. We got all those out on Monday. Catherine worked most of the day on Sunday in the shop, getting those all packaged and sent out. So thank you for everyone who bought those off of us. No, we don't have any more available to purchase. They're all gone. Inside the shop we bought a big collection of mostly old English coins last week, which was it's a lovely old collection, all in sort of quite old holders with old prices written on the holder, so it's always nice to see things like that. And of course the other big news was that COVID got out here in Adelaide again on Sunday, and the situation has escalated fairly quickly since then. We had the old 5-person restriction in our shop yesterday, and then the Premier announced the lockdown at about 1 o'clock, and Catherine and I talked about it for a little while and decided to close up because we needed to get home and sort out our kids and whatever we needed for the lockdown, and pack the car as well with some work to do because we're going to be shut down until middle of next week. So that's what's been going on Facebook. Most of the activity has been around, that I've noticed, has been around firefighter rolls. The two things of note that came out from the firefighter rolls was that someone had one with that one of the end coins was the tail side was missing the paint, so that was interesting. I believe that there was some push for that person to open the roll and see if it was a bullseye or not, but that post has all disappeared, so I'm not quite sure what's gone on there. The other thing was that someone did actually find a bullseye firefighter coin that came through their till at their shop, so that process still isn't sorted out from the mint side of things. So there's a backwards paint firefighter coin being found, and there's a good chance that there will be some more at some point, I would have thought. So I'll just say hello to everyone who said hello. We've got Ian, Cameron, Greg, Michael. It was good to see you yesterday. I don't think we did see you yesterday, Michael. It's good to see you here, mate. Tracy, we saw you on the weekend. Thanks, Aaron, and thanks, Cameron. Well, Cameron, the bullseye, I don't know if it was in a mint roll or not. That post has disappeared. So it'd just be interesting to see if that resurfaces. So that's about it. The touring car sets have shipped and they arrived yesterday. I'll show them to you later. I've got one just sitting over my shoulder here. G'day Daryl, how you going? Just reiterating, g'day Valda, how are you? Just reiterating the news that, g'day Peter, we will be at the moment closed until the 25th of November, which is next Wednesday, and there's a good chance that will extend because the Premier of South Australia has already said that this is probably only the first 6 days of 14. But at the moment this is the best news that we have. Now the consequence of that is that we can't ship orders out. We're not an essential business, so we can't attend our shop, and that's where obviously where all of our inventory and packaging is. So that means that any existing orders will not be shipped until at least next Wednesday at the absolute earliest. It also means that we have switched off our web shop. You can't complete a purchase through our website at the moment, and we've switched off our eBay shop because we don't want people purchasing things and expecting to get them and then not being able to deliver them. So hopefully that will all be switched on again in the middle of next week, but the situation here in Adelaide is obviously in a state of flux, so we can't, we thank everyone for their patience, but it's completely out of our control. It is what it is. So g'day Andrew and Dryden and Lee. Peter says that we couldn't be any more essential. G'day Bob, how you going? Yeah, no matter what way Catherine has tried to reason it out that we're an essential business, and it doesn't matter what way we paint it. We can't think of a way that we could be classified as an essential business, so we're trying to do the right thing. We've brought a whole pile of stuff home with us to get priced up and put out into the shop, and things ready to have images that go up on the website when we're back in the shop. So we should see a good bit of new inventory appearing on the website and in the shop once all this is over. So it's a good opportunity for us to catch up. Again, those people who are going to wait for orders, we can only say there's nothing we can do about it at the moment. It is actually currently against the law for us to go to the shop and package things up and send them out. So that's enough of COVID, because I think we're all pretty much sick of all of that stuff. This week I was going to talk about mules, because this is always a popular topic. Hello Rochelle, home in Adelaide today like most. It's a nice warm day. So let's just start this up. So what is a mule? Now, everyone here, when they think of a mule, for most collectors, they think of the year 2000 $1.10 mule. But of course, a mule is a whole class of era coins. G'day, Gary. It's good to see you here, Gary. No work today, obviously. It's good to see you joining in live, mate. So what is a mule? A mule is when dies, and that's whether the obverse, which is the heads die, or the reverse die, or the collar die, and that's the one that everyone forgets about. If they are used to strike, used together to strike a coin, and they're not intended to be used together. So could be the heads die of one denomination being used with the tails die of another denomination. It could be the heads die of one country's coin being paired with the tails die of another country's coin, or it could be perhaps an edge lettering die, which is the collar die, being used for a coin that it wasn't intended to be used with. So a mule is a reasonably well-known class of error. It isn't just the year 2000 mule, which everyone, seems to think, but it's not. So, the next point is an interesting one, because I have seen this for years. A mule is a mule. Okay, there's no such thing as mule-like or a partial mule. A coin has either been struck with dies that were not intended to be used together, or it hasn't. There's no degrees of muleness. It is either a mule or it isn't a mule. So whenever you see posts or eBay listings for, and I'll do some air quotes here, where's my other hand? I don't know, there we go, mule-like or partial mule, that person is talking rot. Okay, there is no such thing as a partial mule or a mule-like coin. It is either a mule or it isn't a mule. And I guess the association of the year 2000 $1.10 mule with being the mule seems to have made a lot of people think that anything with a double rim could... No, well, there you go. Cameron says mule style. There's no such thing as mule style either. The only thing that I can think of that's mule style is the donkeys that are calling their coins mule style. Anyway, that double ring on the year 2000 mule is associated with, seems to be associated with a coin being called a mule. And of course, the only reason that double rim is there is that the 10-cent obverse die is slightly smaller than the dollar obverse die. So, you get that slightly thicker rim, that double rim. Now, does that mean that every coin with a double rim is a mule? No, not at all. Not at all. It just happens to be a characteristic of those $10 dies. Okay? So just because you see a double rim, it doesn't mean that it's a mule. So let's just go over those points. A mule is A coin that has been struck with dies that were not intended to be used together, and that could be the obverse die, the tails die, or the collar die. And Peter Andrews, who's a good friend of ours, has said that he has seen a 5-cent struck with a $2 collar, so it has interrupted reading. That is a mule. Okay, even though the heads die and the tails die are correct, the collar die is incorrect. That is a mule. There is no such... G'day, Brendan. How you going, mate? There is no such thing as mule-like. Okay, there is no such thing as a partial mule. And what was the thing? Cameron said there is no such thing as mule style. So there are no degrees of muleness. It is either a mule or it isn't a mule. And that double ring is really only characteristic of the Australian $1 and 10-cent dies. Okay, just because you see a coin with a sort of a partial double rim or something doesn't make it a mule. So what are some... Hang on a second. Right, what are some interesting looking mules around the place? And of course, the most common ones that we know here in Australia are listed up there. The $2,000 10-cent mule, the Mob of Roos. Then there's the 2014 and 2015 Anzac $1 10-cent mules. There's the newly discovered 2020 JC $1 10-cent mule, which has been doing the rounds on Facebook in the last week or so, and I believe someone mentioned that a little bit earlier. There are some earlier mules in Australian numismatic history. 1978 50 cent muled with a Fiji 50 cent reverse. The 1978 5 cent muled with a Fiji 5 cent reverse. The Royal Australian Mint was striking coins for Fiji at that time. The 1977 50 cent, and 1977 was of course the Silver Jubilee commemorative design. And some of those have been muled with the coat of arms reverse because they weren't supposed to be used that year. There's a New Zealand Bahamas 1967 2 cent 5 cent mule, which is the dies of two different countries being used. That's probably the most well-known non-Australian mule in Australia. The New Zealand 2004 mule, which the coin was struck with a 10 cent obverse and the dollar reverse. There may well be a 1988 50 cent mule, Andrew. This wasn't a comprehensive list, but these were all the ones that I could think of off the top of my head. In the US, there's been a number of Sacagawea dollars that were muled with, the reverse was muled with a Washington quarter obverse. So they're really interesting because they've got the Washington quarter head side and the Sacagawea dollar reverse, and they're struck in that golden metallic alloy that their dollars are struck in. They're a very interesting one. And then, mules have been going on for a long time, and one older example is the British West Africa 1936 British West Africa penny, which was muled with an East African 10 cent reverse. Through the 1850s and 60s, a lot of Australian trader tokens were muled with different reverses. Through the late 18th century in the UK, a lot of Conda tokens were muled with various reverses and obverses. So, muling of coins has been going on for a long time. They're not a new thing, and they are certainly a lot more than the year 2000 $10 cent mules. They're a lot more than that. Okay, so someone has asked what the origin of the word mule is, and of course you would probably know because Gary has said something here. So Chiraka Hana has asked what the origin of the word mule is, and Gary Heinrich actually answered it. When you mate a donkey and a horse, you get a mule, and I guess in this case when you mix up your dies, you get a mule. You get something that wasn't intended to be made. So, that's what a mule is. They're interesting things. Of course, the dollar mules can still be found in change if you look out for them. And of course, for a lot of people in Australia, when we say mule, that's what they think of. So let's just have a look at a couple of different mules here. This is the year 2000 New Zealand mule. So this is a the 10 cent that was struck with the dollar obverse, the New Zealand dollar obverse. This was discovered a few years ago and published in the New Zealand Numismatics Journal, and lots of them were found in, because 2004 I believe is when they went to the small change, so that's when they changed over to the smaller size coins that they're using today. A lot of these coins were actually exported in and put into what they call tourist sets that were sold in Germany. So a lot of these mules were found in high grade in these sets that were sealed into plastic. And interestingly enough, Catherine, the other part of the purple penny, the major part of the purple penny, she got the first one of these graded and attributed by PCGS. We sent over all the documentation and had the first one of those graded. So this is an interesting coin. They can still be bought reasonably inexpensively. Have a look at another one. This is the British West Africa, East Africa mule. So this in 1936, British West Africa issued many millions 1 penny coins or a copper nickel hold coin like this, and in that picture there on the right hand side you can see that characteristic Star of David, which is the British West African reverse, but on the left hand side there you can see the crown with the antlers around the hole there. That is actually an East African 10 cent die. So at some point in I believe the Royal Mint in London, the dies were accidentally paired and these mules were struck. There was another mule in the British West African series that again was, I believe, muled with an East African coin. I think it was a 1956 5 cent, I believe, which is a bronze coin. So there's another mule in this series. So these are older mules. G'day Edward, or Dwayne, how are you, mate? It's good to see you. And we'll just look at one more, and this one is out of the Royal Australian Mint archives that they had in a presentation a few years ago, which Catherine found before we came in. So this is a really interesting one. This is a proof 1991 New Zealand 5 cent piece that was milled with a proof Australian reverse. So this is, I don't know if this is something that escaped into proof sets or it was something that was made as a pattern inside the Royal Australian Mint, but it was something that they had on display several years ago. It's a proof mule, and you know, it would be really interesting to see if any of these escaped into the wild. So that's mules. I hope that answers everyone's question about what a mule is, how they might happen. Do they happen accidentally? Yes, I believe that they do happen accidentally. Do they happen deliberately? Absolutely. The 1967 Bahamas New Zealand mule is believed to have been done deliberately by Royal Mint workers as a part of an industrial dispute. And you know, there's a good chance that this mule that we're looking at right now, the New Zealand proof 5 cent mule, was a deliberate fabrication by the Mint just to test out dies. So they can happen accidentally, they can happen deliberately. They're interesting things, and do think bigger than the Australian mules. There are less expensive ones out there around the world which are just as interesting. Right, so I wanted to close off today with this puppy here. I'll just put some gloves on because Catherine said don't leave fingerprints on the tin, please. Just before we closed yesterday, and I mean literally just before we closed, the courier driver showed up with our supercar sets. So if you haven't seen what these look like, there's the tin there, a beautiful glossy black tin. Okay, and with I'll just take the lid off. There's the lid. It's a silver, black and silver with supercars on the lid. So this is the 50 cent touring cars set that the Mint announced in the middle of October, and the shipping has only just happened this week. And it's got how many? Nine 50 cents on cards in here. So 8 of the cards are going to be available for purchase individually. And the set actually contains this coin, an exclusive coin, which is a non-coloured coin, which is that one there. So those of you who ordered one of these through our website They obviously are going to be caught up in the shipping delay because of the COVID lockdown here. So they're going to be shipped late next week at the absolute earliest, but that again really just depends on what goes on with the South Australian government. Similarly to people who have purchased in store for pickup, obviously they're not going to be available to get picked up until we are open again. So there we go, that's the touring car set. It's a nice thing, the box is beautiful. I think the glossy black box is just absolutely stunning. So you can see the reflection out the back window of the room that I'm in there. 9 coin set, 8 coloured 50-cent pieces, 1 exclusive uncoloured 50-cent piece. And it is quite a big tin. So that's the touring car set. And then I just talked about before about the large English coin collection that we purchased in, and most of the coins, there's several hundred coins, and most of them date prior to 1820 right back until the 13th century. There's some hammered coins in there. So this, for example, is a shilling, a hammered shilling of Elizabeth I, which dates to sometime from 1550 to 1600. Then we've got a really interesting piece of emergency coinage here. It's an 1804 Bank of England dollar. This is a silver dollar sized coin, and the Bank of England actually overstruck these on Spanish 8 reals mostly. So you can see the portrait of King George the III there on that coin with the really interesting reverse. So all of these coins are overstruck on silver dollar sized coins, mostly Spanish 8 reals. So that's a Bank of England dollar. They date from 1804. And then we've got a crown of Charles II. So Charles II, who was the king in the late 1600s. This coin dates from 1673. So that's a crown there. You can see just good, honest, worn silver coin, large silver coin. And then, of course, there had to be one of these because every old English coin collection has one of these. It's a cartwheel penny, which of course is a bit over 28 grams. It's one ounce of bronze. This is the first coin that was struck by a steam-powered coin press. It's a 1797 cartwheel penny. Of course, has significance in Australian history because it was a colonial coin. It was actually named in the proclamation by Governor King in 1815, I think. I can't remember exactly the date. So there we go. So that's it for today. Thank you for joining in. As we find out what is going on with the COVID lockdown, we will keep you all updated through Facebook about what we know. If you have any questions about videos and things like that, please do email us or contact us through Facebook. There's probably no reason why I couldn't do another live video tomorrow if someone had a great question that they wanted answered. As always, I'd like to thank everyone for their support, and Catherine and I always appreciate it. We appreciate everyone that comes in, and yeah, so I guess that's it for today. So what's that? G'day, Dryden. Yeah, so yeah, we'll see you when we've got your stuff, Dryden. So we'll see you when we reopen, whenever that is. Yeah, Michael, these are crown size coin. Oh, the tin. Yeah, you're talking about the tin. Yeah, the Ford tin was quite large. So has anyone else got anything for us today? If not, I'll wind it up there and go and get some lunch and get back to our British coins. All right. So bye, everyone. Keep safe, and we will see you soon.